across the line and will win the championship.
Hello, race fans, and welcome to the V8 Supercar Americas series on iRacing Live, presented by V8s Online. I'm JD Smith. With me tonight to call all tonight's action will be my good friend, Kane Kraft. Kane, welcome to the show, pal. We got a big night of racing coming from Mount Panorama Motor Racing Circuit, a.k.a. Bathurst, buddy. Big race tonight in the Americas series. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Yeah, Bathurst, we always have a great time when we come here. The track is just, it's been done magnificently from iRacing. And so when we come here and get to see the beauty of this track in its virtual essence, it's a lot of fun. These guys enjoy this track immensely because a large portion of our crowd here in the V8 Supercars Americas series is the Australian drivers, and it's of course one of their home tracks, so they really enjoy it here. And even the American drivers have really taken to this track just because it's so challenging. It really presents, it presents a great challenge to these guys. And one thing I found out about these V8 Supercar drivers is they like to be challenged.
That they do what can be considered as one of the hardest cars to master on the iRacing simulator, the V8 Supercar. These group of cars are very difficult for these guys, and when you take that and put it on a track as difficult as this circuit, you are in for just one of the most crucial task in the entire sim racing world. This is really, really challenging and makes for a fun race. We are here. This is the direct middle of our season here in our first season in 2016. Got to get used to saying that. But, here we are, week 6. Getting ready to cross that threshold of the first half of the season. A lot of the guys that had early race jitters early in the season, they're settling down. We do have some new names that are very impressive. I've been very impressed with some of the young new guys, and they've been looking up to some of the veteran drivers that have really done well. The defending champion of the series, Ethan Greg Galt, has continued in his winning ways, and he's going to look to continue that here tonight, Kane. Can he get another big win here at Bathurst, or will we see another one sneak up in there that has really done well here in the past? We've seen some big runs from several guys here in the past. What's it going to be in tonight's run?
Well, I think you're right. I think Ethan Greg Galt stands a great chance here, but one thing Bathurst does is it brings out people that don't race on a weekly basis. It brings a lot of those drivers to the track as well. So Ethan could have a challenge here from another driver that would show up to race this weekend.
Either way, it's going to be fun. We have a lot of different things we can look forward to in tonight's race. It's going to be 33 laps around a 4+ mile track. We've seen lots of races here, considering that we cover this series. We visit Mount Panorama once every season, and it's a favorite on a lot of drivers. It's a big circle on every schedule, but I think a lot of the guys that are starting to get used to spending so much time here, I think you need to watch for how talented these guys really are here. It's really a tough track when you're talking about getting a field, which I'm assuming will have around 14, anywhere between 14 people. I think 19 is actually the field size tonight. That's when you put 19 cars on a 4-mile track, they can tend to get a little spread out, and you'll be amazed at just how well over 33 laps these guys will still be competing all the way to the end.
Yeah, one thing I do want to mention to the new viewers to the show here on iRacing Live is that this is an official race done on the iRacing servers. This is the V8 Supercars official series. We call it the V8 Supercars Americas series because it is run on the American prime time slot. Otherwise, it is other than that, just a V8's online series official race run by iRacing.
I'm glad you brought that up. Happy to be here on iRacing Live. Maybe we can get a few new eyes on this show. We have, Kane and myself, we have been broadcasting with the Americas series going on our, third year now, Kane, is that? Does that even sound right?
We are on our way to 3. We just hit 2 years just about 2 weeks ago.
Wow, that is incredible. And over those 2 years, we have seen a lot of drivers come up in this series and some that have gone on to amazing things. And we're happy to be here. Hopefully, you guys will enjoy the show and just get to enjoy some of these drivers. If you don't know them yet, we're hoping that by the end of this thing, you'll get to know some new talents around the V8 Supercars community. The America Series started out when we got here, Kane. It wasn't that big of a series, but has really grown over those 2 years.
It has. The V8 Supercars community itself has grown in leaps and bounds since we came here to the America Series. And yeah, the broadcast here in the America Series has really helped the American side of it grow, this American time slot. We've got drivers from all around the world that participate in this series now. And it has just been a lot of fun to watch this, not only this series grow, but to kind of grow with the series and with the, learn the drivers and follow the drivers through their careers. We've had drivers in the V8 Supercar that have went on to have real world careers in real cars and been able to follow those guys through their career and into their championship runs that they had in their real career. So it was a lot of fun, and it's not over. We're going to see some more of these guys end up going on to a pro career, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
It is, and some of these guys really amaze me. We've seen, in the early days of us broadcasting this series, we got to see Marlon McMullen win several championships with us, and of course the most recent with Ethan Grigg-Galt. And seeing a young talent just make those two storylines right there in themselves. You have the veteran driver in this series in Marlon McMullen, a guy that is very talented, and he has always kind of had the highest step in this series until the young prodigy comes up in Ethan, and Ethan has shown that he is the guy to beat. And that gives the other guys a big challenge. So not only do you have the young guys looking up to Ethan, Ethan's a young guy himself in the series, but you have the veterans that are trying to get back on that level. So it actually recaptures that want and that desire that these veterans once had when they were young in this series. And I think it's done a great thing to this series. Now, right now, we are in the middle of qualifying. It is underway. And at the current moment, we have some really tight times up at the top of the leaderboard. But at the moment, at about 5.5 minutes into the 12-minute qualifying session, it is the number 1 sim pit where Ethan Grigg-Galt is on the pole at the moment. Now, we'll let you guys know if that stands. About 4/10 behind him is a legendary name in the V8 Supercars. That is Richard Hampstead in the Pagnian Falcon. He is doing wonders already in the number 2 car. So those two names definitely a very household name in this series. And here's the name I want to look out for, Kane. It's in that 3 spot at the moment with a time of 2:07.0 in the Eaton Commodore. Bo Cattell in that number 4 machine. Now, he has done a remarkable job at this track in the past. Bo Cattell has a very, very good history here at Bathurst, and I would look for him tonight to maybe pull this victory away from our defending champion.
That is a very good possibility, as Bo Cattell has won the last 2 seasons, I think. Has it been 2 or 3? He's won the last 2 or 3 seasons as we've come here to Bathurst. But Ethan Grigg-Galt still out on the pole as qualifying is starting to come to an end here. Just a couple drivers still on their last lap.
It's been at least 2.
Yeah, it's been at least 2 seasons that Bo has won this race here at Bathurst. Qualifying is over now, and we are starting to grid here. Again, I am Kane Kraft, JD Smith with me here, and this is the V8 Supercars America Series. We are getting ready to grid up as Ethan Grigg-Galt has taking the pole today. Richard Hampstead will be taking off in second. Bo Cattell will take off from the third spot. Corey Preston in fourth. Matthew Ross Monroe, he'll be going from the fifth spot. Marlon McMullen from sixth. Michael Cracknell in seventh. Mitchell Sealak in eighth. Caleb Jordan in ninth. Nigel Marneef in 10th. Tony Klusterman 11th. Zach Thomas 12th. Jason Quire in 13th. Brendan King, Roy Windram, Martin Weir, Henry King, Ryan Shelton, and Brenton O'Brien round out the field.
Laps. It, 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 it,
Alright, these guys should be getting close to ready to take off here any moment. Seems like it's taking an awful long time this time, JD, but this is Bathurst. They want that intensity to really creep up on you there. There's the starting lights. The guys rev up, and we are ready to go green here at Bathurst for 33 laps.
And they put on a good show at that, my friend. They really do well together. A lot of times, two guys get near one another and they can hurt each other. But these two, I think they feed off one another.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. These two, they race really well together. Let's check back in up at the front. Ethan Griggold is still out in front of Richard Hampstead, who is still got company with Bo Cattell right behind, and this is still one great battle for this top three positions.
Boy, I tell you what, Kane, here we are, lap 4 of 33, and already, guys, really pushing. Oh, a little bit of a scary moment there for Corey pressed, and then car got a little loose. Not too bad, though. He's doing well at the moment. Marlon McMullen and Mike Cracknell coming up in a hurry, though.
Yeah, your mic was breaking up just a little bit there, but then it would clear up for a second and then get a little worse. But you kind of got the gist of what you're saying about Corey Preston there. Had a scary instance there, and he's got around Marlon McMullen, but or Marlon is still on his bumper. Rather, he never did pass Marlon. Marlon's looking to pass him.
Yeah, Marlon McMullen is looking to get around. Hopefully he can get a good little battle going on our hands here.
Yeah, Marlon doing his best to get around Corey Preston there. Corey, who made a little mistake there that allowed Marlon to get that close, but otherwise has been having a good, clean race today. This is going to be interesting as these laps tick down. This race back here for this fourth, fifth, sixth position, this is really going to be good as well.
Kane, it's a question we always ask whenever we come to a race like this. When is that fuel window, as we got a passing opportunity on the outside right now? Here comes Mick Cracknell trying to make the move. That was an odd spot to make the pass happen. Just couldn't get it done, run out of room, and he's going to have to hang in behind McMullen there.
Yeah, he didn't get that job done, but there's another spot coming up here at the downside of this mountain. He'll have the long straightaway to try to get something done. So we'll have to see if he's racy enough. Marlon definitely not going to be keen on letting him by. Ooh, a little bit of contact there from Corey Preston as Corey knocks the fender off of the Falcon.
Kane, that's something that 6-boost Falcon is going to have to be very full up tonight. A 33-lap race in the beginning of this season and throughout his career. Corey has had just that one incident each race that has really handicapped his really good. He's actually a very talented driver, but he ends up beating himself up by making his race more difficult. Okay.
Ethan Greg Golt still out in front. Ethan now missing a fender, as maybe it's back now. That could have been a netcode thing.
Yeah, you know how those netcode fenders pop in and out, pal.
Yeah, this track, they get so close to the wall on these as they're going down the mountain that sometimes the sim thinks that. Go ahead.
Oh, big contact going into about a mountain straight. Contact Corey Preston in the wall. Katie does get the car back going, but that is a huge incident. And unfortunately, Corey Preston with big problems.
Yeah, I'm doing a race recall replay here. Take a look at this incident with Corey Preston going into Griffin's Bend here. A little bit of contact from Marlon on the inside, and the cars just spin out of control there. Huge contact from Marlon. That is uncharacteristic. I obviously don't think it was intentional. Marlon trying to go to the inside and Corey kind of trying to keep that from happening, and the cars come together, and that's race over for the most part there for Corey Preston, as this is a long race though, so he could get some of those positions back, but that looked like some pretty significant damage.
Very unfortunate for Corey, and I hate to, because I just mentioned about if he could just stay at us some.
Alright, we'll check back in up at the front. Ethan Greg Golt. Oh, we're still in replay mode. We're going to go back to live and check on Ethan Greg Golt out here in front of Richard Hampstead by half a second. Those two are starting to pull away from Bo Cattell in third place. Just a little bit. Just about that 1 second mark. And then Mick Cracknell back and forth. Marlon McMullen, even though the contact with Corey Preston there has remained in fifth place, it don't look like the damage is too bad there on Marlon's car. Corey definitely getting the worst of that damage. Matthew Ross Monroe back in sixth, and Caleb Jordan in seventh. I want to apologize for JD's mic there. It was he's having a hard time with the connection to the channel here, but he's off rebooting, trying to get a better connection. Hopefully that will cure the stuttering problem, as he was just getting a really bad connection. Hopefully you guys are hearing me okay. Looks like a lot of the cars making some light contact with the wall, just enough to cause a few cars some fenders. This track is so tough that there probably won't be too many cars that end up with all their fenders by at the end of this race, because you just get going so fast down this mountain that it's really hard to get everything slowed up in time. Marlon McMullen to the inside, now the outside of Mick Cracknell. Mick is going to keep that position rather. We have seen Marlon make a pass right there at that turn a season or two ago that was just unbelievable. So we'll look for Marlon to try in that spot again, because that is one of his favorite places to make an overtake, and he's going to try it coming here into Hell's Corner, and he is going to get side by side at least. Side by side down the front stretch, or Mountain Straight as it's called, into Griffin's Bend. Mick Cracknell is going to keep that position, but Marlon's got trouble of his own, as Matthew Ross Monroe coming up on him. Hopefully the stream is straightened out a little bit. I didn't realize the stream itself was having some difficulties, but if it don't straighten up, I will tell you the replay will be live in about an hour after the race is concluded, and it is going to be a fantastic race to watch, guys. And you can catch all the replays here at V8's Online's YouTube channel. That is up on the screen there, youtube.com/V8's Online. It'll also be here on iRacing Live in the archive section. The battle for the lead still just as close as ever, with Richard Hempstead within half of a second of Ethan Grigg-Galt. I think he's just waiting him out. We're at lap 9 now of 33, and Ethan's still out in front, but just not by far. As like I said, Richard is just right there still. And Beau Cattell hasn't fallen off all that much. He's exactly 1.2 seconds behind those guys, and that could just be for safety. He could see how close those guys are riding up front there and just want to leave just enough of a gap to leave himself a way out should anything happen. Check the gains and losses here. The top 3 haven't changed position. They're right where they started. Mick Cracknell has done a great job gaining 3 positions to get up into that 4th spot. Marlon McMullen's gained a position, and Matthew Ross Monroe has lost one. There's several other drivers doing well today. Henry King has gained 4 positions to get up into 13th, and Ryan Shelton's gained 4. Bad luck day for Corey Preston, who that contact a couple laps ago has taken him down 13 spots, and Mitchell Ciolak with a early incident taking him down 11 positions. On board with Richard Hempstead as he's doing his best to catch up with leader Ethan Grigg-Galt. But the battle to watch here is back for 4th place. Marlon McMullen all over the bumper of Mick Cracknell for that 4th position. A little bit of contact there from Marlon on that inside wall. Hoping that that was just some net code and that he didn't actually make that contact. Sometimes the sim will try to predict how close they were, and the sim will sometimes get it wrong, and so it'll knock the fender off the car until it gets across the lap line, and then it'll realize that it had in fact made a mistake, and it'll put the fender back on. Do want to thank everybody for joining here on iRacing Live TV. Thank you all for joining and watching the V8 Supercars America Series. It's been a great race so far. We've got Ethan Griggolt out in front. He's been pressured this entire race by Richard Hampstead in second place. These guys haven't had more than half a second between the two this entire race. And we are a third of the race down now on lap 11 of 33. Bocatel back in third. As I said, I think he's just leaving enough room to have a way out should anything happen between the two guys up ahead. Back and forth, Marlon McMullen finally gets around Mick Cracknell there for that fourth position. Mick Cracknell, of course, back in fifth. Caleb Jordan back in the America Series tonight. We haven't seen Caleb for a while. He is in sixth. Good to see Caleb back out on the track here with us. Nigel Marneef having a good race so far in seventh. Zach Thomas doing well tonight, up in 8th, and Tony Klusterman's gained a spot since we last talked about him. He's in 10th, or 9th rather, in the 10 car. Jason Quire in 10th, Brendan King in 11th. Ryan Shelton has managed to get around Rory Windrum for that 12th position. Rory back in 13th, Martin Weir in 14th. Henry King in the 15th position. Matthew Ross Monroe in the pits, back in 16th place. I didn't get to see what happened with Matthew there to see what has put him in the pits, but still on the lead laps so far. Marlon has started to pull away now from Mick Cracknell, over 2 seconds ahead of Mick Cracknell, who's got some damage there to the front of the car. He's heading into the pits, so must have made some pretty significant contact to one of the walls on the downside of the mountain there. Battle still hot as can be for this number one spot. Ethan Griggolt and Richard Hampstead. Richard, a veteran of the V8 Supercar, has been running the series for as long as I can remember. Probably since 2012, 2013. So a veteran of the car, championship winner, and just a superb race car driver. Doing his best to track down a newer comer to the car, Ethan Griggolt. Ethan, this is probably his first year. He's probably right at the year mark of being in the car, and has been a real hot shoe here at the beginning of his career. He's definitely a driver that a lot of these guys are really trying to track down. He's been setting the benchmark here lately anyway, so that's what we got here. We've got the young blood versus the old blood. Not that Richard's old, but he has been in the series for a very long time, so this is going to be a great race to watch. Alright, Richard Hampstead into the pits. That's going to leave Ethan and Bo out on the track. Richard going to try to get the undercut here. He's going to try to pit and hopefully come out in a clean spot on track to where he can just run a better lap, or get a quicker pit time to where he gets out and track up ahead of Ethan Griggolt, and then he don't have to try to pass him on track. That is the plan. Whether it all goes that way, you never know, because you never know what Ethan Griggolt's pit strategy is going to be. Without Richard up ahead, it looks like Bo Cattell is actually reeling in Ethan Grigg-Golt. He's at 1.6 seconds behind from Ethan Grigg-Golt right now, so we'll see in about a lap's time, or half lap's time, if he's gained any time on him. I want to remind everyone that Bo Cattell, in the number 4 Eaton machine, he has won this race the last 2 years in a row, or 2 seasons in a row rather. So he is probably the favorite tonight to come in here and win this thing. He is in second because of the pit stops. Richard Hampstead has went ahead and pulled in for a pit stop. Ethan Grigg-Golt now in the pit lane. He's going to get his pit stop out of the way, and that's going to leave Bo Cattell out on track. Now, Bo could end up taking over the lead here if he gets a really good fast lap here with nobody out in front of him. He gained 0.2 of a second on Ethan just that last lap, so if he runs another great lap here and then gets a good pit stop, he could end up in front of this thing. That's right on board with Ethan Grigg-Golt as he finishes his pit stop, and we'll see how he comes out. In regard to Richard Hampstead, it does look like he's going to come out in front of Richard Hampstead by quite a ways. 1.6 seconds. 3 seconds, actually, because there's somebody in between there. So, yeah. Ethan has gained a lot of ground on who's in the what is virtually the second place position, Richard Hampstead. Both of those guys have completed their pit stops, and they've got a couple drivers in between, and that is really going to hurt Richard, as he is now 3 full seconds behind Ethan Grigg-Golt. But for the minute, your leader, Bo Cattell. We'll probably see Bo pull in for a pit stop this time around. And then that will get at least those 3 guys figure out where they're going to be in the running order. Whoa, Bo Cattell, bad luck going into the pits. Got off onto the grass, and that is going to cost him any gains that he would have made that lap. So, tough break for Bo Cattell as his pit stop ends in disaster. That's going to relegate the temporary lead over to Marlon McMullen. Temporary second spot is Nigel Marneef. I reckon those 2 guys will probably hit pit lane probably this time around, and that will leave Ethan Grigg-Golt in that number 1 spot. Ethan has already pitted, so he is the virtual leader right now. And the driver that's realistically in second, Richard Hampstead. Richard still being held up by slower traffic. Horrible bad luck on that pit stop, coming out right in the middle of traffic and coming out behind a couple guys that aren't within their pit strategy yet. Richard getting around one of those cars that's going to push Tony wide and right into the wall. Tough break for Tony, as no contact was actually made there. Tony just went just a touch wide and looked like he got off on the grass and the car just wouldn't turn. Let's check back on Bo-Catel, see how bad that pit entry damage hurt him. He is still in what will effectively be third position. And it looks like he's about 4 seconds behind Richard Hamstead. Brennan King letting the leaders go by. One thing about this series that you don't see as much in other series is the sportsmanship that we find a lot in the V8 Supercars Americas series. Now there are times when I don't know, something happens that isn't, I don't know, is unexpected, but typically the sportsmanship in this series is top notch. I want to apologize again for the absence of JD. His connection just not connecting well to the broadcast channel, so I don't know if he's trying to fix it and come back or what his plan is, but haven't seen him for several minutes now. Hopefully he comes back, because he is much better at this commentating than what I am. The closest battle on the field, which is pretty common with these two, Rory Windrum and Ryan Shelton. These two neck and neck as they climb the mountain. On board now with Rory Windrum as he's doing his best to chase down Ryan Shelton. These two guys always seem to be chasing each other when on the track at the same time. That is the great thing about the iRacing software, is they promote themselves also, that they do their very best to pair like skilled drivers with each other. They have a iRating system that you earn points as you race more races, and as you get to certain points levels, you race against other drivers that have about the same amount of points as you. This is the top split here in the series, so these are going to be all the drivers with the most points, and these two drivers here just show how good that balancing tends to play off here, at least in the V8 Supercar. And then of course we've seen up at the front the battle with Ethan Golt and Richard Hamstead. Those two drivers near identical in speed, and on a track like Bathurst, where this track is so challenging, that's saying something when you can run lap after lap after lap with a driver like that and stay right there. Alright, Richard Hampstead in second is now 5 seconds off the bumper of Ethan Greg Golt. That's exactly how it happens. You know, once Ethan gets clean air and it gets out of way, that gap just grows and grows and grows. It's at 5.5 seconds now. In a couple laps it'll be even further, because for some reason once he gets out in clean air, he just takes off. You know, for those first 11 laps or 13 laps, whatever it was, Richard kept him at bay and stayed right there on his bumper. But then once the pit stop started, he got clean air and he is just pulled away massively. Back in third, Bo-Catel, the incident going into pit road there has cost him 5 seconds, as he is 5 seconds off the bumper of Richard Hampstead up in second. So about 5 seconds separating those first three cars, 5 seconds apiece. So 5 seconds between first and second, and 5 seconds between second and third. And then 7 seconds back, even further than that, Brendan King, who is in fourth. Now he is still yet to pit, so he should be pitting pretty soon, and then Marlon McMullen will move up into that fourth position. So we've got the field pretty spread apart right now, which tends to happen on Bathurst because it is such a challenging race. I thought we were going to have a good battle up there at the front, but Ethan has managed to pull away. I will say that after all this time that I've been talking, Richard Hampstead is still just 5.5 seconds away from Ethan Greg Golt, so Ethan not pulling away at the moment. Marlon managed to get around Brendan King there. Brendan probably be pulling in pretty soon for his pit stop. Nope, he goes on past. Looks like Brendan King and Mitchell Ciolek are the only two drivers left to pit, and then we will have the field cleared. See Zach Thomas in the pits with some pretty significant damage there. Not sure quite what happened to Zach, but Jason Quire also in the pits with some damage. It's a tough break for those guys. Quire could be in there just for his regularly scheduled pit stop. He may not have damage. I want to thank everybody for watching here on iRacing TV Live. Ethan Greg Golt is still in that #1 spot, followed by Richard Hampstead, Bo-Catel, Marlon McMullen, and still Brendan King, as he hasn't pit yet. Caleb Jordan back in 6th. Nigel Marneef in 7th, Henry King up to 8th, and Ryan Shelton in 9th. This field is almost cleared, as the only two drivers left to pit are Brendan King and Mitchell Ciolek, and Mitchell is out of the race, so Brendan King, the only driver out there left to pit. Looks like he's going to go on past again, so Brendan King going to run it as close as he can to running on fumes. do want to apologize for the lack of JD tonight. JD is the #1 commentary guy here at V8 Supercars America Series. I normally don't do the brunt of the commentary, as I'm just not very good at it. But JD is the bomb when it comes to this broadcasting stuff, and he is very good at this commentary, and it would have made this race a whole lot better had he been able to give me a hand here in the booth tonight. But connection issues, I'm not sure if it was connection issues on his end or here on the broadcast end, but connection issues somewhere have kept him from joining us tonight. Hopefully he keeps trying and comes back. Someone that knows all about these woes of broadcasting, Brenton O'Brien. You can see Brenton doing his commentary in the Race Spot show, the V8 Supercars official series broadcast on what is Monday nights in Australia, the official V8's online race. It's covered by Race Spot. Brenton O'Brien is one of the commentators there. And he does a fantastic job here in the V8 Supercars America Series. He runs most of the races, I would say. He's only misses every blue moon, but it's always good to see him out on track. So it's looking like a really tough race for these guys tonight. We've got half the cars maybe that have been damaged by Bathurst. And if you haven't raced Bathurst, if you're a driver that haven't spent a lot of time on Bathurst, then you don't understand how difficult this track is. But if you've raced Bathurst, you know that racing this track is half the problem. You have to race the track first and the cars around you second, because this track is so difficult. It's a lot of fun, and it's a beautiful track. And iRacing has done such a beautiful job with the track. But it is definitely a tough track for these guys, and they love it. They love coming out here and racing on this track, even though it is such a challenge. Because they know that when you do it right, when you finish well at Bathurst, it's a sense of accomplishment, because it is a very difficult task. Rory Windrum and Ryan Shelton still battling like crazy for this 10th position. Ryan Shelton still out ahead, but Rory Windrum wants it bad. He is right there on the bumper. Or maybe not on the bumper, but close to the bumper of Ryan Shelton. The way this race is going, if you can see the bumper of the guy ahead of you, then you're doing pretty good. Take a look at Rory there as he goes down the mountain through these sets of sharp turns and through Forest Elbow. Onto this long straightaway here that these guys get so much speed on. This is called Conrad Straight. These guys get up to about 200 miles an hour going down that straightaway. I think around 180. I didn't look. It shows it down there in the corner, but I forgot to check it out. But I think it's right around 175, 180 miles an hour. So with 10 laps to go, we've got Ethan Greg Galt out in the front. and we've got 11 cars still on the lead lap out of starting with 19 cars. So it's been a pretty tough race for a lot of drivers here tonight. We've still got, of the cars that are out of it, we've got 2 cars still out on track that are just a few laps down, and they're still trying to make the very best out of the race that they can. But Ethan Grigg-Golt out in front, Richard Hampstead in second, Bo Cattell still in third place, Marlon McMullen in fourth, Caleb Jordan up in fifth. That's fantastic. That's just an awesome job for Caleb to be up there in fifth. Brendan King in sixth. Of course, Brendan has pitted since the time I brought up this overlay, so that's going to put him down in 10th. Henry King in 7th. Ryan Shelton in 8th. We're now 7th. Sometimes it takes the overlays just a second to catch up. And with Brendan King pitting there, it kind of threw him out of whack. So we got Ryan Shelton in 7th, Rory Windrum in 8th, Brendan King in 9th, Martin Weir in the 10th position. Bo Cattell back in 11th. Tough break for Bo Cattell as something happened there that took Bo back into 11th spot. Going to see if I can go back and find that. Watch Bo Cattell here, see what's taking Bo out of the race. Looks like a little bit of contact with the walls there coming down the mountain. He hit one side and then hit the other side, and that's knocked his front end out until you can see that right front wheel leaning in. That's definitely caused a lot of problems there for Bo Cattell. So tough break for Bo Cattell. He was coming into this race was the favorite to win it, as he has won the last 2 times we were here. There is no doubt that the one who's fared the best so far today, Ethan Grigg-Golt, out in front, 5.7 seconds ahead of Richard Hampstead. So Ethan has not continued to pull away from pit stops from Richard Hampstead. Richard has managed to keep him right at that 5.5 second mark, although he needs to be making some gains, which Ethan fast enough that Richard can't make any gains, but those two just right on the mark with each other. Just exact same speed around this thing. So Bo Cattell's race ending abruptly has now put Marlon McMullen up in third. Caleb Jordan in fourth. Nigel Marneef is in that fifth position, and Henry King in sixth. That Ryan Shelton-Rory Windrum battle right there in seventh and eighth. We got a battle of 4 of them right there, battling for that 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th position. We'll go on Brendan King right at the tail of this battle and watch it from his view, or the view of his bumper. Man, this track is absolutely beautiful. iRacing has done an amazing job on this track. Seen a couple drivers up here waiting to chat. Gonna bring in Mick Cracknell, who is in the garage. Race kind of took a turn for the worst. Hey Mick, so today's race didn't go as planned. Tell me what happened.
Okay. It was pretty eventful from the start, really. Battling with Corey and Marlon, I sort of got through that okay. And then when I was behind Marlon, I ended up just slightly taking the wall, so I had to come in and pit and try and get the steering fixed up. And so I went, but I came up behind Zach, and he kind of lost it, come down into the dipper, and I had nowhere to go, so that ended my race.
I seen you and Zach were in the pits, like right together. Oh, that was Jason Quire. Never mind. Seen that car. I thought it was you, but
yeah,
it was Jason
Jace
Quire.
was just behind me. He got caught up as well.
Well, tough break. How did you do in yesterday's race? Did you run yesterday?
I didn't run yesterday's, no.
Well, it was a lot of fun watching you and Marlon battle it out there for a few laps anyway.
It's always good battling Marlon. Yeah, it was. I think he had the pace on me today, but yeah, disappointing to end like that, but that's the way it goes.
Yeah, speaking of Marlon, Corey, are you there? Yeah, Corey got kind of the bad end of Marlon there as he went to pass you on the inside going into Griffin's, and a little bit of contact was made there, and that pretty much ruined your race. So bad luck day for you too, as well as I would say at this point about half the drivers that started the race tonight ended in bad luck.
Yeah, pretty line ball that one. I mean, I think you'd think if somebody was going to pass you, you know, they'd get up far enough so you could actually see them coming, and instead of just waiting for the turn-in point of the corner and then just nosing it, and then giving you a spotter call. I mean, I didn't really have any options there. I mean, as soon as I started turning in, he technically wasn't there, and then all of a sudden, car on your right, bang, which immediately spun me and put him sideways. But yeah, my car just violently spun around and the front end whacked that rubber-like tyre barrier there, and it's got this weird like wavy texture on the outside, and I think it's meant to simulate like a rubber barrier which bounces the car around. Only being iRacing, it just immediately destroys anything that touches it. So yeah, I can't say I'm too happy at the moment because yeah, my options were pretty limited there. I mean,
yeah, it just wasn't quite far enough for your spotter to pick up on it and let you know he was there. And yeah, he probably wasn't the best choice there going into Griffin's Bend, but yeah, we all kind of do a boneheaded thing every once in a while, I'm sure. Hopefully once he watches it, he'll just shoot you an apology letter or something.
Oh, I doubt that'll happen, but one can always hope, can't they?
While we were talking there, incident with Henry King. Henry was leading that little group of 4 cars, and he got spun sideways and lost control there, and that took him back to 10th. So from 6th to 10th, Henry King. That's going to put Ryan Shelton out ahead of that little group. Brennan King now sideways down the hill. Whoa! Brennan King sideways. That's going to be Henry King that just barely avoided contact with him. And there was another car up the mountain. He called a tow truck, Rory Windrum. So contact going down the mountain had everything blocked up. Brennan King sideways, Henry King sideways, and Rory Windrum. So those guys now got things cleared up. Rory, I would say, would probably be the biggest loser of all that, as he called a tow truck to get out of the way. Of course, his car is pretty well tore up. But so even with 7 laps to go, the action's still full on here at Bathurst. Let's check back up at front with Ethan Greg Galt. Ethan now still the same 5.5 seconds ahead of Richard Hampstead. Richard doing a great job not letting Ethan get any further away, but he's just not able to reel him in. Marlon McMullen back in third. He is 17 seconds away from second place, Richard Hampstead. Fourth place, 31 seconds away from third place, Marlon McMullen. So fourth place, 32 seconds now, Nigel Marneef. And then back from him is Caleb Jordan, and he's 24 seconds away. So this race has got split apart. Crazy race here at Bathurst today. And then Ryan Shelton just 9.5 seconds off the bumper of Caleb Jordan. So with 6 laps to go, we might see Ryan catch up to Caleb and have a little race there, but I think Caleb's been having way too good of a race for that to happen. Caleb has been on the ball today. So definitely a tough race here at the mountain. We've got half the cars that are out of the race. We've got a couple more that were out that's got the cars repaired and has come back multiple laps down, and some that are out completely because damage is just too severe. So are either you two guys going to run in the 24-hour race tomorrow?
No, I don't think so. I got AEC Championship coming up next weekend, which is another 24-hour event, so I think one's probably enough for me.
Yeah, the 24 hours of Daytona is a fun race. I'm not going to race in it this year, but I will be watching as it's being broadcast live here on iRacing TV. So that's going to be fun to be able to watch. I think it's going to be a challenge for the broadcast team to broadcast that for 24 hours. But boy, they have done it in the past and have done a great job. So I'm excited to watch.
Yeah, it should be a really good event.
Go ahead, Corey.
Oh no, I was just going to say I don't think I'm doing the 24 hours. Weren't able to get a sort of a reliable team together. I mean, me, Dale, and Bones, and that we don't know what we're doing this weekend. So yeah, probably lucky because I'd be probably liable to blow my brains out on that back straight on the oval section. Just so much straight line.
Yeah, it is a long oval section there at Daytona, but the road course part of it is, I don't know, it flows nice. It's kind of relaxing to me. I actually enjoy Daytona a lot.
Oh, it's a good track, but yeah, the GT3 cars aren't exactly the fastest thing in a straight line.
Well, that is true.
Yeah, there's a very big discrepancy in straight line speed compared to the HPD to the GT3. The closing rate is phenomenal.
I haven't raced in the 2.4 hour race since back when the Mustangs were in there, and the Mustangs with the DP was that was a lot of fun. The Mustangs were so much slower that it wasn't even a competition. You just kind of take the inside line and those DPs would just fly right around.
Oh boy, do I have a story about the 2.4. My first year in iRacing, 2013, I think it was the the Mazda Cup, the Jetta, and some other car which I can't remember, and I decided to do it in a Mazda and got absolutely annihilated by a Mustang for no other reason than I was in the way, technically. He thought I was in the way because I was in a slower car.
Yeah, and that's
So
whenever you
just
first start, your I rating's down so low that you're racing with a bunch of people with lower I rating, and that was always my problem anyway. Is that I don't know, you race with some of those people that can't get any I rating, and it can be kind of challenging.
that's why I've quit street stocks. I didn't used to mind racing street stocks, but I think I've been banned like 3 times now from street stocks. Just simply because I'm not an oval driver. I get whipped by the so-called oval guys, and yeah, they think they know everything.
Yeah, I've seen them not be too, I don't know, welcoming to street drivers, and I don't know, not patient enough to let them learn. But and then in other races, you get them that are very welcoming, and kind of just depends who you have with you at the time. But back to this race, we've got Ethan Griggold out in front. He is still 5.5 seconds ahead of Richard Hampstead. Richard Hampstead has lost 2/10. He's 5.7 seconds away now. So just 2/10. That's amazing after all those laps. We've got 4 laps to go here at Bathurst in the V8 Supercars America Series. Welcome to iRacing Live. This is our very first iRacing Live broadcast, and it has been a handful. We've had about half the cars are out of the race now, due to the fact that it is Bathurst. And if you have raced here at Bathurst before, you know that this track is a tough track. You have to race the track first and then race the cars around you second, because this track is that difficult. As I said before, the drivers here typically like Bathurst because it is such a challenge, and I'll let you guys weigh in on it. But I've been told that the reason you guys like it here is because of that sense of accomplishment when you do finish well. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it is probably one of my favourite tracks, but it's also probably one of my worst tracks as well, if that makes sense. I really enjoy running it, but at the same time, it's probably the most challenging track that I've ever had to get my head around.
Now, is this track here that forced you into a pink car for a couple weeks? Am I correct on that?
No, that was Alton Park. Alton Park, I took out Martin and Jason in one corner through a dumb move, and yeah, team decision.
Yep, I think every one of the cars out here have made a boneheaded move at one time, and Tony was the guy that did it yesterday, and jumped right up and said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I really messed that up, and I'm really sorry about that." And that is what you want to see, though. If a driver does make a mistake, you want to see him at least apologize and own up to it. So good on Tony for doing that. And it was such a common deal. This track is so tough. There is going to be a car that's sideways on the mountain at some point, and if it wasn't you this week, it might just be you next week.
Oh, for sure. Like, all the drivers I find in the V8s are actually pretty good. Most of the time they know what they've done wrong if they've made a mistake, and they own up to it. So there's never really too many issues as far as, as drivers go. Sometimes there's a difference of opinion over an incident, but it's nothing serious, and everyone just sort of gets on with it.
We've got 3 laps to go. The race has kind of split apart. Typically, the racing here in the V8 Supercars America Series is almost at times bumper to bumper for the entire race, at least for several of the positions, and it's very exciting. Bathurst always tends to split apart the crowd here, and we've kind of found that to be the case today with the pit stops and the incidents and stuff, that a lot of seconds between each of the cars. The closest battle on the track is this battle for 7th, with Martin Weir in 7th Brendan King wants it. He's in 8th, and he's gaining on him. He's just 1 second behind, and that second is dwindling down as Brendan King is starting to catch Martin. We might just see this position change hands by the end of this race. There's 2 laps left, and 1 second separates Martin Weir and Brendan King for this 7th position. Other than that battle there, we've got Ethan Griggolt out in front. 6.5 seconds between he and Richard Hampstead. I think Richard may be fuel saving at this point as Ethan a little sideways there coming down the mountain, but saved it well, and just a little bit of smoke, and he is back on the way. So Richard's time starting to slow down a little bit, so I'm thinking Richard might be fuel saving, but he does have some damage to the car there, so that second might have just been caused from some contact to the wall. Marlon McMullen is back in 3rd with 20 seconds separating he in 2nd place. Go ahead, Mick.
Yeah, I don't think there's many cars out there that haven't had some sort of scrape or bump or accident. Most of the cars look pretty second-hand, to be honest.
Yeah, I said at the beginning of the broadcast that there probably wouldn't be a car. If there was, it'd just be a very few number of cars that would get through without any damage. And so far, I think Ethan is going to be the only car that don't have damage. He has had, throughout the race, we've seen him without a fender, but as soon as he crosses the lap line, the fender reappears because the sim has predicted that he hit the wall, because you get so close to the wall on this track that sometimes the simulator actually predicts that you're going to hit it, but then whenever you don't hit it, it has to fix what it predicted as it crosses the start-finish line. So sometimes you will see that where it knocks the fender off of a car, but then they cross the start-finish line and then it reappears. It's just because in order to keep the net code well here and to keep cars from zooming in and off the track if their ping is different than the other cars, they predict what's going to happen, and sometimes it gets that prediction just a touch wrong, and that's why you see that it usually only happens on a track like this where you get so close to the wall that it just can't accurately predict where you're going to end up.
Yeah, and this being Bathurst, I don't think there's any such thing as a small scrape along the wall. Yeah.
No, you get going down this mountain so fast that if you hit the wall, it's going to be a big knock.
I mean, in practice,
I had a minor hit on the wall across the top of the mountain. It was just, I literally just felt like I brushed it, and all of a sudden my steering is like, angled at 10, 15 degrees, and it was pretty much enough to do my race.
That's what it looked like with Bo Cattell as well. Bo hit it. He did hit it a couple times, one on each side, but one of them just knocked his steering all goofy. All right, this is the last lap. Ethan Griggolt coming around to the finish line now. What a fantastic race for Ethan, as he has absolutely dominated here at Bathurst. Unbelievable job here for Ethan Griggolt. I really thought he was going to have more of a challenge here today. Richard Hampstead comes across in 2nd place. A great run from Richard. He lost that 5 seconds and just never could quite gain it back. But Marlon coming across in 3rd. So glad iRacing got the smoke back on the broadcast, because that is so sweet. I have been missing the smoke like crazy. Nigel Marneef is in 4th. He's just finishing up the last part of his lap.
Yeah, good run from Nigel. Looks like he's one of the ones that sort of kept the car clean and kept out of trouble. So definitely getting better.
Yeah, absolutely. His car looks pretty spotless, so I don't know if maybe he had some repairs to do in the pits early on to fix a fender or two, but I don't think so, because his time don't really show that. So I think he just had a good, clean race. So, good job, Nigel Marneef, one of the very few to keep a good, clean car. Caleb Jordan as well. Look how clean Caleb's car is as he comes across the line. Nice job, Caleb. Beautiful car, too. Ryan Shelton's car looking a little worse for wear as he's finishing out his lap. Martin Weir in 7th as he comes through Murray's going across the finish line. Incident with Brendan King in that last lap has kept Brendan from crossing the finish line there, but he will get scored for finishing in 8th. Alright, so now I'll run down the finishing results here, as we had Ethan Grigg Galt dominating the race from the very start. Just a on-par performance from Ethan Grigg Galt is that we haven't seen anything less all season long so far. He's just been on fire. Richard Hampstead in 2nd, a great race from Richard, just a failed pit stop strategy I think probably cost him the race. And then Marlon McMullen in 3rd. Early incident with Corey Preston hampered Marlon's race a little bit there, but I think you could probably say it hampered Corey's more. Nigel Marneef in 4th. Caleb Jordan in 5th, a great race for both Nigel and Caleb. 4th and 5th here at Bathurst, that's absolutely fantastic. As well as Ryan Shelton in 6th. Martin Weir in 7th. Brendan King in 8th. Brenton O'Brien in 9th. Tony Klusterman in 10th. Rory Windrum in 11th. Henry King in 12th. Zach Thomas 13th. Bo Cattell 14th. Mick Cracknell in 15th. Jason Quire 16th. Matthew Ross Monroe in 17th. Corey Preston 18th. And Mitchell Sialak 19th. I never even seen Mitchell start, so he must have had his incident on the very first lap. We do got some drivers up here ready for some post-race interviews. Give the race winner some time to come in and chat with us. As we're waiting for the leader to come join us for a chat, let's talk to Caleb Jordan. Caleb, we haven't seen you for a while, but you come in here today, and without participating with us for a full season at least, you come in here and have a great run at one of the toughest tracks. So great job.
Yeah, thanks, Kane. Yeah, it was a good run. Had a lot of fun.
Good. Tell me a little bit about your race. Ran the whole thing. Looked like you didn't even get a scratch on the car.
Oh, qualifying went good until the second lap, clipped the wall, and then jumped into the race. You know, having good fun, good battle with Matthew, and then I drop off a bit and just chill. And then I decide, oh, I may as well push it and try keep up with Marlon and all them in case they make a mistake and I can counter. And yeah, the setup was awesome. I was testing it last night in the Enduro and it was awesome, felt great. So yeah.
Well, good to hear from you, Caleb. Like I said, it had been a long time as you were away for rugby, is that right?
Yeah, I was away for rugby, you know, playing for my convince, I guess. And yeah, and then I came back and I had a break from the V8s, and then I decided to come back and have a crack, and decided to do the Americas race today. And I tell you what, this has probably been the most amount of fun I've had in a long time. It's good to be back.
Well, it looked like you were having fun out there and doing a great job, so it's good to see you back and good to see you having such a good, clean race out there. Anybody you'd like to thank before you get out of here?
Yeah, I'd just like to, thank my boss, Mark, for the awesome skin, the contribution he does to the team, getting our private practices all set up, and whole team, for their input with the setups. Yeah, it's
And
great
is that
fun.
Mark Pickford? Is that right?
Mark Fee.
Oh, okay, and that's Kimmy's Rule Fencing, correct?
It's high-tech racing.
Oh boy, I just really blew that one all up out of the water. Okay, so Kimmy's Rule Fencing is not who you're with no more. You're with High Tech.
Yep.
Awesome. I will fix that. All right, now let's bring in second place driver Richard Hampstead. Richard, welcome to the show. Great race. You were doing such a fantastic job of keeping Ethan right there within your grasp, and then the pit stop happened, and I'm not sure exactly what happened, where you lost so much time, but ultimately exactly 5.5 seconds, and you just couldn't make it up.
Yeah, how's it going, guys? Yeah, I don't know either. Really, I've put in a little bit too much fuel, about 4.5 liters or so, but I wouldn't have thought that would be 5 seconds or whatever he gained on me. So I'm not sure. He might have short filled it in the stop and then saved in the second stint, or he might have just, sometimes you just get a lucky quick stop, or I could have got a unlucky slow stop, or yeah, I don't know really what happened there, but well done to him. Sorry, he deserved the win.
Yeah, he did have a good clean race, and as well as you, I was really watching lap after lap thinking now that he was in the clean air, he's really going to start pulling away. Even said it on the broadcast that he's going to pull away, and then he didn't. You kept it right there at 5.5 seconds for at least 10, 11, 15 laps in a row. So,
yeah, well, I was hoping to be able to close in on him at the end there, but it's just, looking down at the times, and it's just like it just didn't change. It's very, very frustrating when that happens. Like, it's not much fun just lap after lap after lap seeing the same gap. And then a couple of laps towards the end, I hit the fence and damaged my car, and yeah, that sort of put paid to that. So yeah.
I seen at one point you had lost about a second, and I was like, I don't know what happened, but then I seen you were missing a fender, and thought, well, he must have bumped one of those walls. So apparently I was right.
Yeah, just coming down the dipper, I just hit the wall on the inside there, and that sort of bent that front left a bit, and yeah, struggling a bit, just to keep it on the track after that.
Well, Richard, thanks for coming in and talking with us. We always appreciate you guys coming and doing the post-race interviews. JD, always much better at it than me, but we will get through it. So appreciate it. Now we're going to bring in the race leader, Ethan Grigg-Galt. Ethan, a fantastic race today. You kept it clean for all 33 of those laps and managed to get out ahead 5 seconds on second place Richard Hampstead. Richard was right there for the first half of the race, just barely giving you any breathing room, and then all of a sudden you got 5 seconds worth of breathing room. That, other than being Bathurst, that had to be feeling pretty good to get that kind of gap.
Yeah, it was. I put in a pretty good quali lap at the start, which I was quite happy about, and it put me in front of Hampstead and Cattell. And I know these two are ridiculously fast around here, so yeah, I just focused on getting a clean start. And I was actually really nervous at the start, making a few mistakes for the first 2 laps, but I decided stop driving in your bloody mirror and look at the road ahead. So yeah, that fixed that up a bit. I actually had no idea how I got the gap. I ended up with +2 laps of fuel at the end, so it wouldn't have been a short fill, but Yeah, I did rag the crap out of the car in the entry, so that could be it.
Yeah, we couldn't figure out where it came from either, but we just knew that it was there, and it was significant, over 5 seconds, just from the pit stop there, and thought that Richard might reel you in a little bit over the last half of the race, but no way, you were on the ball, and you weren't going to let him have anything.
Yeah, I was kind of concerned at the pit stops because Hampstead was 0.6 behind me, and I knew like on new tyres you could easily say shave about 8/10 to a second a lap off just on newies alone. So when he went in for the undercut, I got quite a bit worried. So I just pushed as hard as I could on the in lap, and yeah, I came out in front. I think I came out in front 4 seconds originally, but yeah, we both had a little bit of traffic, so had to navigate our way through that.
Yeah, I don't think anyone could have ended up in worse traffic than what Richard ended up with. He came out in a horrible spot, and I'm pretty sure that cost him some time, but probably about that second and a half if it was 4 seconds, because he ended up at 5.5, and that's where it stayed for most of that last part of the race until about 3 to go. Then he lost another second on you, but man, that was definitely some exciting racing until that gap appeared. But good on you. This is saying something, coming in here and dominating Bathurst like that, and in a race with some hard chargers like Richard Hampstead and Bo Cattell, Bo having won the last several races here. That's you're the one that broke that streak for him.
Yeah, exactly. I know in the past few seasons, Cattell's been incredibly quick here, and I've always had to try and fight back towards him because just always seem to have the edge. But yeah, I think I've found something here this week. I've changed up the way I drive the track a little bit in some areas to try and just focus on a better exit speeds. So yeah, it seems to be working for him at the moment, so I'm quite happy.
Well, there you have it, the secret of Ethan Greg Galt. Focus on the exit speeds.
It's a good bit of advice, I guess.
Well, thanks for coming in and joining us in the post-race interview, Ethan. Good to talk to you as always, and congratulations on absolutely dominating win here at Bathurst.
Yeah, thanks for that. Thanks for the awesome broadcast as always, guys. It's a pleasure to watch it.
Well, hopefully it'll be a little better next week. I guess we had some connection issues here this week that's cost JD from being a part of it with us, but next week hopefully we'll have everything ironed out a little better and be able to present a smoother broadcast for everybody, but we'll get it all going right.
Yeah, sounds awesome.
Next, we'll bring in Marlon McMullen. Marlon, a good third-place finish for you tonight here at the Mountain. It's tough to finish at all here at the Mountain on a day like today, and you come out in third place, so good job on that.
Yeah, g'day guys. Yeah, it was a pretty good race today. It's pretty aggressive at the start, but anyway, what can you do? As I always say, it's a survival race, and yeah, I didn't really expect to get crocodile attack in the front left of the car, but was good enough to finish third outright in the end. I don't know how I didn't get a meatball, so I'm really happy with that today.
Yeah, it's definitely a good race. We got to watch you catch up from a little behind and make a couple good passes. At one point, we seen you shooting it down to the outside on coming out of the straight, and thought we were going to see one of those awesome passes going off the straight, but didn't quite get it done. But definitely your trademark pass there. I seen you shooting for it.
Yeah, I was definitely having a good look and gander around today. I mean, the pings are very high at the moment, so I'm trying to use a little bit of common sense and not to get too close to anyone. And yeah, I got a little bit flustered. I think it was with Crackers when he got really close to me at turn 2, because we're about 1 centimetre away from each other. With pings this high, it's just going to end in disaster. So you're out there doing the best job you can do, keep it nice and clean, and yeah, I was able to survive all that casualty stuff going on for 3 or 4 laps. It was quite crazy. It was quite hectic, but as I always said to you, it's just one of those races you've got to keep the car clean, just get through the first sort of phase of it, and then sort of try to use your pace towards the end. And I had a lot of fun trying to catch down Bo. I'm not too sure what happened. I know he gets the wall, I think, a couple of times, but I was really starting to catch up to him. So I don't know if it was fuel saving, but well done to Ethan and Richard today. They were class act, and well done to iRacing for not giving me a meatball. That's fantastic. That made my day a little bit better.
Yeah, crushing about Bo Cattell. Just some bad luck on the mountain, it looked like to me. A couple contact tore up the car, and I think that's why he left the race, but I didn't get to see for sure if maybe he had an incident that finished him off or not. But I was definitely looking for a great race between Bo up there at the front, so I was disappointed to see that, but we'll see him back next time. Let's see, early race incident with Corey Preston. You kind of shoot up the inside, but not quite enough for him to see, and just some contact there. How did you see it from your view?
You know me, I'm always trying to be nice and clean. I definitely had the pace. I felt like I was catching regardless, how many times, but there's some times when you don't need to battle like that on lap 3 and 4. You don't need to defend and have a car go up the inside line of T2. Like, I don't even understand that. So that, I wouldn't say worked me up or anything, but just made crackers and all that, catch back up, and we lost over 5 or 6 seconds to Ethan and all that. And I can't understand why that sort of stuff happens that early on, but I tried to do it nice and clean. I know Corey's not the easiest person to get around, and I tried to do the best job I could do. I thought I was far enough up the inside. It takes two to tango, and I just felt like I was, as I said, crocodile attack. Sort of chopped off from the inside. But regardless if his spotter or whatever, he didn't see it. As I said, there's 2 cars going into a corner. I can't really get out of it, and so once I'm in it, I'm sort of in it, and I felt like I would have pulled it up quite easily, and I was able to do it with crackers, a few laps later. So it's just sort of running that fine line together and battling really hard with the high ping. It's just it's a little bit hard at the moment, but we're all trying to do a really good job and race clean and hard. So I didn't really feel it was anything ill of my fault today, but if I did, I would have stuck my hand up. So sorry to Corey over that, but a little bit disappointed that he started insulting me after the race in the TeamSpeak chat, but that's his choice. So I'm sort of over it, so we'll just try and work towards a really good race next week.
Yeah, and that's all you can do is, there's going to be incidents. You got cars going this fast on the pavement. One week it's going to be somebody else, but the next week it will be you that makes that mistake. And so it's best not to be too hard on people when those mistakes happen, because next week it could be you that does something that hurts someone else's race. So it's always best to try to be polite and try to be a sportsman about things, but sometimes that frustration gets the best of you. Let's have a word with Nigel Marneef. This is the first time talking with Nigel here in the broadcast, but Nigel with a heck of a good race here today. 4th place finish, and very new to the series, so it's really good to see you here in the 4th place position, Nigel.
Yes, thank you very much.
So tell us about your race. Difficult start. Cars were kind of, all bunched up right there, but as the race went on, kind of got some space to race.
Yeah, I guess I was fortunate enough that I had enough of a gap in front of me and enough of a gap behind me, so I still had people in my sights, but not as close that would become a distraction, I guess. And then it's simply a case of, especially this track, I'd say it's more difficult than a Nordschleife personally, like keeping the cars off the wall and all that stuff. So you're pretty much racing the track, you're not racing other people as much.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's definitely one of those tracks where you got to pay attention to the track first, and then try to race the cars around you if the track permits it. But this is definitely a tough track, but it's a lot of fun. And as I was talking with the other drivers, it's so rewarding when you get it right and get a good finish. You really feel like you accomplished something whenever you finish here at Bathurst and finish well.
Yeah, it's funny how that works, because sometimes you manage to do like a spotless race rather on a track like Bathurst or maybe even a Nordschleife, and then you go to what I guess could be considered an easy track, like let's say Watkins Glen, for example, and then you crash, for example, in whatever race, and then you think, how can I manage to do a track like Bathurst perfectly and crash at a track like Watkins Glen? But that's how it works sometimes.
Where are you racing from, Nigel? I know we've got lots of Australians in this series. You don't sound like an Australian.
No, the Netherlands.
You're from the
So,
Netherlands.
Yeah, so I think I'm the lone European in the America series, at least.
Well, great. We got drivers from all around the world that come compete in the Americas series, and that don't tend to hurt the server too much, since how it seems to always be on an American server nowadays anyways, so we're glad to have each and every driver that comes to race with us.
Yeah, I actually remember, I think it was the previous season when I started getting more into it, and I joined Sunday morning for me, but I guess it's Sunday evening for Australians, and I got told off because apparently I caused the servers to change to an American server, which was pretty funny, I guess.
You know, I think that the thinking behind how they're doing that, I think it works for about all other series, but the V8 Supercar is so dominated by the Australian part of the world that on Monday nights it typically is 99% Australians that running it, and then one European come in, so it makes them go to a alternate server, or, a fair game ground is what they call it, fair ground, so that everybody's got high ping. I don't know if it's the right call or not to force all the drivers to have a high ping instead of just one driver to have a high ping. But I don't know, maybe they'll get that ironed out and get something better figured out there. Maybe they've got something bigger and better in the works.
Yeah, I might just pipe up here and say, well, seen in Monday night how the server allocations hurting the series a little bit, but it definitely is something that I reckon needs to be looked at a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's been recommended time and time again that it be looked at, but I don't know if they're just trying to come up with something different or what, but hopefully they get it fixed soon, because I have seen that on the Monday night series that it's definitely hurting some participation, because it's tough for you guys to race with that kind of ping, and to have that kind of ping to everybody is even more challenging.
Yeah, I mean, there was sorry to butt in and sort of talk over the top here, but I remember very vividly on the broadcast Monday night at Spa, there was a incident on the last lap, and with like nearly 2 meters between two cars, and it fired one of the cars off straight into the wall and into DSQ. So that was pretty
I seen
bad.
that.
I mean, that stuff's just not acceptable.
No, I think they'll get something done there to where it's a little bit funner for everybody.
I simply was unaware at the time, so ever since I got informed about it, I just decided to stay away from, I guess, what people would consider the Australian splits.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a bit unfair for you Euro guys. I mean, you guys shouldn't have to stay away just because the majority of the V8 community wants a nice low ping race. I mean, you got every right to race, but it's the server allocation that's hurting us at the moment. So I think people are getting frustrated that there's always that one guy that causes a US server, and it's not your fault. It's not anybody's fault. It's just the way that iRacing as a business have decided to do it. And I think with enough incentive and with enough maybe haggling, they might see reason to change it.
Yeah, I hope so, because it does seem to be problematic, especially for that Australian split, because like you say, it's nearly everyone, all but one driver usually is in Australia, so it kind of forces all the drivers into a bad position, and then just so that they can be equal with the one driver. and they had it before where it was a majority kind of thing. And so, I don't know. I think if there was 5 or 6 Europeans, then I could definitely see it. But, oh well, they'll get it figured out. I got faith in them. They've always done good work, so I imagine that this problem they will get ironed out as well.
I mean, I think what really hurts us Australians is we have to go through an undersea cable to get anywhere. So, and those undersea cables, from what I've read and from my very rudimental knowledge on them, they're pretty bandwidth limited. So you can have the fastest net in the world over in Australia, but as soon as you go through that cable, you know, your net speed to wherever you go is basically irrelevant. You know, it's all determined by that undersea cable and how much bandwidth you can put through that. So it's not going to change anytime soon, within our lifetime at least, anyway.
Yeah, probably not. The internet's making leaps and bounds, but that is a long distance to go. Well, Nigel, thank you so much for coming and talking with us. Anybody you want to thank before we get out of here?
Yeah, all the guys at ERA and Brampton O'Brien for being my motivational speaker throughout the race, so that was pretty nice. And of course, like iRacing and V8 Online for putting on a broadcast, and congratulations on your first, I believe your first broadcast on iRacing Live as well. So
It was our first broadcast here on iRacing Live, and as is normal for us, we had connection issues on the first broadcast and lost JD, and yeah, so that's pretty common. Anything that we do first, we always have to deal with issues. But next week, we'll be back, and things will run a lot better. Because every time, when we broadcast the NASCAR iRacing Series, the very first week was absolutely horrible. We had connection issues and all kinds of stuff. But then round 2 on, we're fantastic. And so now we're starting another first, and we end up with the same kind of deal, connection issues and lost JD and all that. But I'd like to challenge everybody to tune in next week, because you will see this is a great series. It deserves to be seen by everybody. So if you like good road racing, you will love the V8 Supercars America Series. Do want to bring in another driver here, Ryan Shelton. See if I can find him here. Ryan's been patiently waiting for an interview. Ryan, great race. We've seen you battling with Rory Windrum nearly all race long, which seems to always be the case whenever you guys are on track together. You guys, is that by plan? Is that by strategy, just because you guys like racing around each other? Or is it just because you guys are so closely matched in speed that's where you end up?
Kind of, well, more or less the backside of that, the latter of the two. Just because we're normally about the same pace. It's very track dependent. Sometimes I'll be faster than him. Sometimes he'll be faster than me. But today, you know, it was really just I was going to start a lot further up than I was supposed to, but I tapped the wall at the cutting, which gave me a 0x, which invalidated my lap. And in the second lap, I had actually stabbed the wall at the dipper, and my that lap was done. So my qualifying was not where I wanted to. So I started out in 18th position, second to last in the grid. But he started like 2 cars ahead of me, and we just stuck together, and I just kept my nose clean.
Yeah, we seen at the end of the race there, yours was one of few cars that just didn't, well, no, yours was pretty beat up on that left front end. You did hit at least once and tore that left fender up, but you got it to the end without a meatball, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, that one actually happened because it actually bent my steering. That was right after the pits had started, or ended, right after I got out of the pits. I hit the forced elbow, and it just bent my steering just enough to the left to where it messed me up just a little bit, but it didn't hurt my aero, and I was able to catch up to Henry and make the pass on him. And this is not the best track and not my favorite track, but because it is the car it is, I might as well race it. So
Yeah, and if you do a good job and, like you say, keep your nose clean, by the end of the race you can end up with a good position, because it is such a challenging track that it usually ends up with quite a few DNFs, and it's a good track to kind of get some points on, because you can count on a lot of drivers not finishing because of the beast that she is.
yeah, that's most of the time I'm one of the first ones to say goodbye to the server. If you happen to take some time out, take a look at my stats here at Bathurst. They're normally the races are only totaling about 6 or 7 laps, and I'm out of there. But I said this time, finishing isn't, finishing is number one. Position will come second. But having the best Friday night finish that I've had in the series since I started, which was about 2.5 years ago, I started racing in the series. Having the best Friday night finish is definitely helps out.
Well, it's been a lot of fun watching you through this series, as you came on board right about the time we started broadcasting, and so we've been able to kind of watch you grow as a driver through the series and kind of keep an eye on you. And it's just been a lot of fun. There's several of you drivers that started right about that same time that kind of feel like you're almost like our home track drivers, because we keep such an eye on you through the racing, and then you broadcast all your races live on Twitch, so we can actually watch you run your races, which is extra cool.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun doing that on the side. It's definitely it's hard to do that now, more or less. I used to do it a lot because I had a lot more free time, but now working almost 55 to 60 hours a week, it's becoming a bit more demanding to do something like this. But for Bathurst, always have to do it, just because it is Bathurst and it is the V8 Supercars, so it's kind of a you kind of have to. But today's race was really helped out. The SDRT team, as I just joined them about 2 days ago, so it's really cool to have a really good finish for them. So it's really cool to see all that kind of come together now after about 2 years. So it's
a lot different being on a team after being solo for so long, and having some help with setups, and even just talking with other drivers about how they tackle the track and stuff like that. There's definitely something to be said for that team aspect of racing.
Yeah, I beforehand I'd been on like a team, but it was just a couple of guys, me and Anthony Mino and a few other guys that would race, together. We were just, kind of together. We'd share setups and talk about racing. But, in that sense, we were all just we just kind of did this as, like kind of whatever. But kind of being around some guys who have been doing it for a while, who have some experience. I really hope it helps out me as a driver. But it definitely has helped out so far. I was able to grab a setup and watch a few different things that they have. They had offered me, so it's gonna be really fun. Me and Martin Creamers. I don't know if you remember, about a year and a half ago, me and him had that one season where we were attached closer than me and Roy were this time around, but it was just me and him through the entire season. So me and him have buddied up, and we're teammates now for the V8 Cops series. So I'll be waking up about 3:30 in the morning to be racing those races.
Awesome. I'll be glad to have an American to be rooting for over there in that Australian-dominated series. So that'll be very, very good.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
So you've moved over with Jace McCarthy and the guys at SDRT. Is that right?
That is correct, yep.
I got that one right. I completely bungled one of those earlier. But Awesome. I will get your name changed on the overlay and stuff just as soon as I can.
All right, man. We'll see you next week.
See you next week, and thanks for coming in for the post-race interviews. Do want to let those know that are still watching the post-race interviews here on the V8 Supercars Americas series seem to go on for a long time because the race is over and we just chit-chat about things sometimes and talk about whatever comes to mind, and so they do tend to go on for a while, but we've kind of polled to see what people preferred, and a lot of people prefer this method that we do where we just kind of chit-chat. They like to get that kind of inside conversation feel that these post-race interviews that we do here at the Americas series provide. So that's why we continue to have these extraordinarily long post-race shows, is because that's what the drivers and the viewers that watch the series tend to like it that way. So if you're wondering, did this guy leave his broadcast live while he's just talking to these guys? No, we actually do this on purpose, have these long conversations like this. But one conversation that's left is with Brenton O'Brien. Brenton, you had a good race start today, and things looked really good there for a while, but the mountain kind of got you.
Hey, Kane. And yeah, that was rubbish, wasn't it? I think I just slightly clipped the wall on lap 2. Had about 2 laps worth of repairs, and so yeah, but just stuck in there, and the Maverick welding car came home in 9th. But to be honest with you, Kane, I wasn't here to talk about me, mate. Just for you guys at V8's Online, Kane and yourself, JD and yourself, mate. Congratulations and good luck for what's the rest of it with being linked to iRacing Live. That's massive for you guys, and I hope it all works out well.
I do too. It provided a lot of people watching you guys race tonight, which was nice. It was unfortunate that this was the day that the connection decided to bugger up on me, but we'll get it uploaded properly to where those people who want to come watch this race again later can come watch a good broadcast without any connection issues. But yeah, it just is our luck that the very first race would kind of have some connection issues, but otherwise, once it cleared up, it was a great show and a great broadcast. But lots of people coming in to watch you guys race, which is what my ultimate goal is because you guys do such a great job out here on track. You guys deserve for people to watch you race, and the racing here is so good that I know that there's a lot of people out there that want to see it.
Yeah, but the good guys are just that good, aren't they? You know, you got, for today's race, you got Ethan, Richard, Marlon. You know, did such a solid job. And I'm going to give a shout out to Nigel Marneef as well. This guy's new to Evolution Racing Australia first, so for him to bring it home 4th, we're really super happy with that. But yeah, and you know, let's not go past the usual suspects who race. You know, the Jared Fieldstalls, you know, there's Madison Down, obviously. Mate, these guys, Ian Ford. These guys are so good, and to me, Bathurst and the V8s is the best and the most fun combination on iRacing. It's so challenging, and you can't make a mistake. Generally, your incident limit's pretty low, because if you make a mistake, that means you're in a wall. So, you know, those guys make it look a lot easier than what it is. So, you know, for anyone that can do that type of thing week in, week out, well, they deserve special mention.
Yeah, no doubt. And the race tonight definitely showed how challenging this track is. As over half of the drivers didn't finish the race, or didn't finish on the lead lap rather, the lead lap rather, and yeah, we definitely made notice the whole race how challenging it was, because it seemed like every lap somebody was running into some trouble, and this lap is tough. Like I said, it is so challenging, but that's what makes people love it so much. You would think that its difficulty level would make people not like it, but that's the race driver mentality. It's that challenging that challengingness that makes it that much more rewarding when you get it right.
Yeah, it is, and yeah, the reward for just finishing is fairly decent as well. Like I said, after the 2 laps, I was 2 laps behind because of my stupid little mistake, but I didn't lose another lap after that. Drove reasonably consistently, had a slightly damaged car, and came 9th. So, there's a lot of guys out there a hell lot quicker than I am. So there's the opportunity to sneak up there and get yourself some decent points if you're prepared to get to the finish. Like obviously some guys, their car's too badly smacked up, but they can't do it. But just persistence to get to the finish gets a reward.
Well, let's take a second to talk about tomorrow's big race. In just a few hours' time now, about 8 hours or so, iRacing Live is going live with the big 24 hours of Daytona race. And this is going to be broadcast by your guys over at Race Spot. Are you going to participate in that?
Yeah, RaceSpot TV will be covering the first 6 hours and definitely the last 6 hours as well that I know of. I think they're just still trying to wrap up the commitments from commentators. Look, that's going to be a great race, isn't it? It's going to be a strong field, we know that, and with the introduction of the Daytona C7, the field's just going to be that much stronger. The HPT takes a hit, obviously, so to C7's all the GT3s, and I know it's going to be limited Australian participation. We've got another Daytona 24-hour next week, so there's going to be limited Aussies. I know STC and ERA are running a car tonight, but hang on 2 secs. But it's going to be a great race. And there's some good teams running. I know Commodore are running, Radicals are running, so it should be a really good race.
Yeah, it's a race I can't wait to watch. I always like watching because there's usually a few Australian teams in there that, of course, all of the Australians, it seems like, run the V8 Supercars, so I learn who they are, and it's the only race of the year where I don't want to say the only race, because there's so often in these big races where I see a bunch of Australians out there, and I consider them my home team, the home guys I'm rooting for, even though I'm an American. But I've gotten so close to all the Australian guys broadcasting this series that I consider all of them my friends just as much as I would the American drivers. So I find myself rooting for Australians more times than Americans, especially in a race like the 24 hours of Daytona, where a lot of the field is going to be from around the world, and there may only be just a few American participants.
Well, I know you're rooting for the Australians, and rooting in Australia means a different thing there, Kane, but we'll stick with that. Barracking, supporting's good. But by saying that, if you love the Aussie races, mate, this year, 2016, is going to be good for the Australians. The Blomhay Endurance Series Pro Series got 4 Australian cars in it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, 4 Australian cars in it. So keep your eye out for that. We've also got Riley Preston running in the professional series in the Formula Ones. He'll be the only Aussie entrant there, the ERA driver. And mate, I think the Aussies are just getting more and more on the map. Like, we've got our little small corner of the world, but with iRacing, we've got some unbelievably quality guys down here. But the time zone makes such an inconvenience to us, let's be honest. So it'll be great to see more and more Aussies out there on the international stage showing what the Aussies can really do.
That's true. There's been several times I've been wishing that a certain driver or two that would join those big races, but like I say, to be honest, that the time is just really tough for you guys to make that time. So that's what keeps you guys out of those professional spotlights so much, is just the time frame that the races are and stuff. But it is nice to see an Aussie on the big stage going into the Formula One series this year. So that's definitely something to look forward to.
Yeah, we are looking forward to that. Like I said, there's some quality Aussies down there, and I honestly reckon that the V8's, because that's the hardest car to drive. I think the Lotus 49's got that covered, but I reckon it's the second hardest car to drive on iRacing. So, for these guys like Madison and Jared and Ethan, Richard, 40, the guys that can do it week in, week out, they if they put their mind to it, they'd be able to step into those cars pretty easy. I'm not going to say they'd be competitive straight away, but they'd be competitive pretty quickly.
Yeah, I agree totally. I really think that they could step in and race really quickly with those guys. I wouldn't think it would take long at all. Well, Brenton, thanks for coming and joining me here at the tail end of this broadcast and chatting with me a little bit about the race tomorrow and your race here today. It's been good to talk with you and good to catch up. I think we are going to call this one a broadcast done, and we will see everybody here next week, Friday night at 9:15 Eastern, 8:15 Central, here in the States, sometime around lunchtime for you all folks in Australia. And come watch again next week here on iRacing Live.
Hey, Kane.